Hello everyone! Headed Hamster here, and welcome back to building LEGO Technic Planet Earth and Moon in Orbit. Nothing like living in a clockwork universe that I'm building. Say, does anyone fancy a game of dice? No? Alright. Right. Let us continue. So, where we previously left off, whoops, was on this. Let's rearrange the camera slightly. There we go, good enough. Right. So we got the base mostly built, some rubber wheel feet, and a few gears. There's this stack of 3 gears here, which it's really interesting. I'm curious what they're going to be used for. Like, why do you have 2 of these 16-tooth gears? Then you have a 36-tooth way down here, which, judging by the way the axle's poking out, I'm guessing there's going to be a small gear here that these will mesh with, but yeah, not sure. I'll just say this, I have not looked ahead in the instructions. I'm keeping this blind. I want to find things out live and, you know, live reactions and all that, but whatever. So, right. Wrong way. Let's open her up and find the next bag. Right, that's all the stuff. I can put my sticker sheet off to one side. Sun hemispheres go there. Bag 3, nope. Bag 4, nope. Bag 2, yep. Right. So where did we leave off? We did this. Oh, we have not done the turntable yet, so that's new. Here it is. Stay open, you. Alright, we'll need the second ring, which means we'll probably need the date ring. Yeah, the date stickers, which are here. And, yeah. Move Earth off to one side. I'm guessing we'll do Earth fairly late in the book. If I had to take a guess, I would imagine the next step would be build up the structure here. Adding on top, and then we build out the arm and then do the stuff on the tip of the arm. That's at least how I would imagine it would be built, but who knows. Let's see what LEGO has in store for us. Right. Right, let us proceed. So, I won't need these rings for right now. And I don't think I'll need the sun hemispheres either. Or the earth hemispheres, so I'm gonna just put them back in the bag for, like, or bag box. Let's open her up. There we go. It's like opening a bag of potato chips. You open them and poof, they all go everywhere. Alright, wide angle shot for this. Make sure there's no pieces left behind. No piece left behind. Right, I can go garbage or recycling. I think it's recyclable. It says the plastic on the side, so. Got the little baggie of parts here. There we go. Make sure they are all out. Bada bing, bada boom. Right. So, yeah, let's just quickly go over some of the parts. So, yeah, nothing too crazy or too special here. We get some turntable pieces, which are nice. Yeah. I'll admit, I'm actually a big fan of these new turntable pieces. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the old turntables were good, but yeah, I don't know, like, LEGO has produced several different turntables in the past, but I don't know, I really like this newer style of turntable. Although, yeah. Anyway, right. Just because I want to, these two clip in like so. Bada bing, bada boom. Hope I don't regret doing that decision. I shouldn't, but yeah, something I will say is these two are virtually inseparable. I don't know why or what the deal about that is, but yeah. Can never seem to figure out exactly how I want the camera set up, so bear with me one sec. Yeah. Yeah, maybe a 20. Right. So, right, the next step, well, the first actual step, we need to build up these, like, crescent elements on the side. Sorry for the... Yeah. Stupid glare. But yeah, build up the crescent elements, which I presume are just aesthetic, that they don't serve any functional things at all, so... I don't know, I might, depending on how much of the machine they block, I might take them off later. I don't know, well, we'll see. But for right now, let's just, put them together. Alright, yeah, same as last time. Right, so, start by, 2x4 plate, 2x2 plate, and then adding these curve elements. Thankfully, no stickers go on it, so I don't have to worry about smudges or fingerprints. Or, yeah, I don't have to worry about finger grease affecting any stickers or whatnot. I'm not sure. I don't know if finger grease actually hinders the adhesion of LEGO stickers or not. I try to avoid it whenever possible. Like, if I know a piece is gonna take a sticker later, I try not to smudge the piece out too much with fingerprints. Again, I don't actually know, but it feels like just good practice. Just general rule of thumb is like, if you know something's gonna have to stick to it, and ideally you want your stickers to last a long time, maybe don't put a thin layer of oil between the plastic and the papers, or like the sticker material. Right. Alright, so now that this crescent element has been made, let's add it to the base. So, let's see, so, okay, so it's orientated this way. And then, right, this piece just simply clips on like so. Voila! There we go. Not too bad, not too shabby. Ah, alright, and now we need to build another gear assembly. Cool. What is it? 36 tooth? Yeah, another 36 tooth. I mentioned this before, but I really appreciate the one-to-one drawing they include in the pictures. Not that it's too complicated to assemble, but it's still nice to have. Right, just slide that on like so. I'm not sure if I mentioned this last time or not, but something I'm I'm genuinely curious about. I'm gonna have to do the math on it after all is said and done. But I'm curious what the actual gear ratios are in this model orrery. Like how accurate is it to real life timing? Like, is it gonna be 365 days? Probably not. The other model I showed the first video, what was it, like 360 days in a year? And then there was like 28 days per month. And it's like, not exactly correct, but you know what? Considering the limitations of working with standard Lego gears, pretty dang good considering the scale of everything. Alright, so, right, I believe this just sits up here? Huh. Oh, did I miss something? There's a gear. Oh, I did miss something. Oh, whoops. I'm an idiot. Wah wah. I was gonna figure it out eventually. This gear does not go on top of the stack. No, instead, it goes down like so. Okay, now those two mesh. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I'm like, why is there two gears on that stack? Ah. Whoopsies. Okay. Error corrected. Moving along. Oh god. I'm gonna have to have an error counter, don't I? No, I don't want to do more work. I don't want to have an error counter. No, stop pointing out my own mistakes. Although I will say, that is looking lovely. Absolutely gorgeous. Having the 8-tooth mesh with the 36. Like, though... That's the thing about Lego gears, is that Lego gears sort of... Like, just by their design, they sort of inhabit... There's almost a parody to them, where half the gears are what I call the even gears, which are like the 8 and the 16, and then you have what I kind of consider the odd gears of the bunch, which are the 20-tooth, the 36-tooth, the 12-tooth, which, like, these play nice with each other, but they don't really play super well with the even gears, like the 8, 16, 24, etc. And half the time, these don't even play well with each other. Like, it's hard to get the 20-tooth to mesh nicely with a 36. Like, I mean, the teeth bind, but trying to find hole arrangements for them to sit nicely and actually mesh, that's an engineering feat in of itself. So, it is a rather amusing or rather fascinating to see people or see like gear combinations like this that just work, where a Lego designer was able to find a place where you could mesh an 8-tooth with the 36 by taking advantage of the fact that diagonals do not give whole unit answers. At least, not most of the time. But yeah, right, moving along. Oh, one piece, almost missed it. Yeah, it's also calling for a white piece. Over here. Okay, like so. Voila. Right. So distracted by the gear, almost missed that part. Ah, okay, we're building up a sub-assembly. So move that off to one side. Looks like we're building up like the main structure that goes on top. Right. I guess I can show you the ghost image. Something like that. Right, so we'll need a 1x3 in blue. A beam to be specific. Ah, and yes. Okay. Another part I absolutely adore are these... Like, having more varieties of these pin, like half pin, half axle elements. Like, for the longest time, back in the day, if you want an axle, well, here's another great example. This one has, there we go. Yeah, half of it, 2/3 of it is an axle, the other third is a pin. And so, yeah, really nice variety. Like, back in the day, it was just like this. Like, you had the 2 long pins, which was pin on both halves. You had the 3 long pins, which is this. You had axles, came in various lengths. Actually, I remember way back in the day, the 2 long axles actually were black originally, same as these pins. But at some point, LEGO decided, actually, a black axle, which is only 2 long, is maybe a little hard to see. So they changed it to make it bright red, which I was a little iffy at first, but I've grown to like that change. But yeah, having all of these, like, 3 longs, like 2 pins and 1 axle, or 2 axles and 1 pin is really nice. Or even these elements, which are a bit older now, but still like 2 pins and then a female axle, like a bushing on one end. Like, yeah, really good variety of like connectors to join things together in various weird and interesting ways. Oh, and here's another really cool element. It's got an sort of beam, a 1x1 beam on one end, but it's got an axle element on the other. And these are nice, but I'll just say this. The sibling of this part, which has an axle hole on one end, or like a pin hole on one end, and then a pin on the other, I adore that component. Absolutely love it, love it, love it. Like, such a useful piece. I'm so glad, like, such a brilliant move. But anyway. Yeah, I cannot tell you, like, I've used them in almost every single one of my Technic mocks. It's just such a useful element to join things together at 90-degree angles in really tight, compact spaces. Right, so we got this so far. I realize I'm still zoomed in. Yeah, let's pull things out a bit. Right. Now we can add some more pin elements on end. Ooh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, sort of an L-beam, 5x3, but unlike the standard L-beam, this too again has the 90-degree connectors. That is cool. Like, I can see these elements being super useful in so many different situations. Like, okay, yeah, no, that's really nifty. I like that. All right, this should just simply connect like so. Yeah. Getting multiple pin connections simultaneously, like I said, can be a bit of a chore, but gets there in the end. Right, what is that, 15 long? No, 13 long. 13 long beam. Simply connects in like so. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. Yeah, I believed, therefore I could. That's how it works, right? That's what the stories all say. Right. Need some of these blue 3 long pins, like so. And then, not sure, like 2 pinholes one side and then an axle on the other. Not sure what I call these. Honestly, they vaguely remind me of like dwarf signals, like in railroading around yards. Instead of having signals up on the overhead or long tall poles, because it's really cramped, you have what's called dwarf signals, which are these like little signal lamps that sit right down by the track side. and yeah, they're really useful in like tight, cramped yard spaces. Yeah, just I like the name. They're called dwarf signals. Like, how amusing! I love that. Who says an engineer can't have fun? Right, and then a hole with 2 pins on it, and just attaches like so. Very curious. I'm wondering how this will play into the rest of the build. Alright. Another useful component are these crank elements, which make good steering joints, as well as I know another one's used as a literal hand crank, which, yeah, really nice little simple hand crank component. Oh, whoops, it actually goes the other way around. Like so. And then flips in. And then we need one of these in blue. Oh, okay, we'll need another one of those in blue for another small assembly. Okay, so, right. Get over here. Get over here. Alright. Attach that like so. Yeah. So attach that like so. I need a pin. There's not that many pins in this bag, fun enough. And that just attaches. Alright. So yeah, so far so good. Building up a bit of a frame here, which is interesting. Certainly a lot going on in this little sub-build. Where did the other one of these blue things go? Ah, there you are. Sometimes Lego's a fun game of where's Waldo? Actually, this needs to go over by 1. And now the pin's stuck. Come on, out you come. There we go. And there we go. There we are. And now we have 3 pinholes right there in a row. Not sure if that's going to be useful later. We'll see. Now we're doing another sub-assembly. So, guess we're setting that to one side. Okay. It's sub-assemblies upon sub-assemblies. It's turtles all the way down. Little micro builds. Very curious. Alright. There we go. Another useful piece. Nice to see in white. I definitely know I have a bunch of these in light gray, but yeah, it's funny. You don't really get that many Technic pieces in white, which is kind of funny. Like gray, light gray, dark gray, all over the place. Black. And then occasionally you get sets which dominate in 1 or 2 colors, like orange, occasionally blue, a lot of yellow, especially construction vehicles love their yellow, which, yeah, fair enough. But, oh yeah, if you get a John Deere set of farming equipment, lots of green, lots of that sort of, lime green, which is very striking, very colorful, very plentiful. But, yeah, surprisingly, not very much white. Which is... yeah, white is such a... it's a lovely color. It's, well, shade, but you know what I mean. Right. 3 long into you. And then that just simply attaches like so. And then add another 5 long beam onto it. Got a little diving board. Doing, doing, doing. Right. Oh, is this where the crank is gonna attach? Maybe. Maybe. Ah, okay. Oh! Well, what do you know? Okay. So, remember when I was talking about the twin of this part? The twin of the part with the axle on it? Well, here it is. In blue of all colors. Well, how do you do? I've seen them made in black before, and I think... Oh, I know I've seen it in other colors as well. I think maybe orange? Don't quote me on that. But I know I've seen definitely a lot of this in black, and I also believe... Or no, maybe it's the variation, the smooth variation that's in light gray. Not sure about that one, but yeah, very common in black. Never seen this element in blue before, so yeah, cool. Not sure. I mean, it's still a useful part, functionally useful, really good build. Not sure what to do with the blue element. I'm sure there's gonna be a build out there somewhere where having it in blue is just the perfect godsend that everyone wants. I don't know. But for right now, just continuing on with my little mini build here. So that just pops on like so. Add a little pin there. Ah, adding another one of these. Or another set of gears rather. Alright, a little interesting factoid. So we have this, which is a 12-tooth little mini half bevel gear. Like, it's essentially half of one of these 12 gears. And yeah, like, these are relatively common. Like, there's plenty of sets that feature these and in good numbers as well. But what you might not be aware of, so there is a variation of this which is 20-tooth, like this, but you know, half. It's a large disc element. And it's funny, like, I have a couple of these as a 20-tooth variants, but I find it so weird. When I looked into just how many of them I had, because I needed them for a mock, I realized, oh wait, I don't actually have that many. I looked into it. The 20-tooth variant of this part is surprisingly rare, at least as far as official LEGO sets go. Like, they don't come in very many sets, and the few that they do come in, they come in small quantities. So yeah, I found that such a surprising revelation. I don't know, to me it felt like the 22 variant of this was just such a common part I've seen everywhere, but I guess not. So right, so yeah, building up. I presume this will be where the input axle goes, or the input crank goes. Yeah, just assemble this little mini assembly here. Right. That attaches to the back side of this. And then one of these attaches on. So. And now we're building out. Nope, I had it right the first time. Yeah, I'm very much convinced this is going to be the input crank I'm building now, which, yay, I do like the input crank. Good way to put power into the system. Okay, now we bring in this sub-assembly again, and this whole thing just attaches like so. Oh, if I can. Yeah, come on. Come on. You can do it. I know you want to. Part of the cards and all that. Where's a hydraulic press when you need one? Bloody hell. Okay, maybe start from the blue pin end and work my way across. Hey, there we go. Voila. Alright. Nice little sub-assembly. Right. And now we're doing yet another bit of sub-assembly. Sub-assemblies all the way down. Right, so I'll need another pin with female connector, or female axle, 3 long axle, pops in like so, some more half beams. Yeah, like I said last time, I kind of have a soft spot for half beams. I think they're such a fascinating little side an interesting sort of departure from the Technic system that, again, I think it's not like they don't get any love, but I would love, I don't know, I think it would be really interesting to see them fleshed out as like their own like separate system, as it were, or like have a bunch of parts dedicated to them in the same way that full Technic has a lot of parts dedicated to them. I don't know, I think there is room for some interesting builds using these parts, but oh, maybe I'm just the only one here. Right. Pushing on a 7 long axle. That all puts in there. Ah, looks like this will be the main stem of the system. Maybe this will be driving the sun's rotation. Let's see. Okay, I'll need a blue 3 long beam here. I don't know why I keep calling them 3x1s. Like, beams aren't 2-dimensional. They, at least not yet. Actually, no. I think there is a 2-dimensional beam grid. But yeah, generally beams are 1-dimensional, so they only have one number. But it's brick. It's plates and brick that are X by Y. In this case, 2x4. But yeah, I don't know. Lazy naming habits. Alright. Ah, so this 3 sets of holes does become useful after all. Because this plugs into that. Like so. But there we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Gotta say, love the coloring. Yeah, what was it like? Not Sans Effects. Amtrak. It kind of reminds me of like the Amtrak colors. Very American, which yeah. Although I'll say this, of like classic railroading and like old-fashioned diesels. God, I love the old Santa Fe like cab nose, with like the silver bodywork and then the bright red and yellow trim around like the nose and then along the side of the locomotive. Just absolutely gorgeous livery. I love the look of that. But yeah, all right, we got what I presume is our main input shaft and input gear. So far, so good. Ah, and now we get the turntable. Ooh, and some more gearing too. Yee, so excited, so many cool things. I like it. Okay, one thing which I do kind of miss, I'll say this, I do miss about the older LEGO Technic sets, which I think was actually kind of hilarious. I loved it. This definitely goes back quite a ways, but I remember some really old sets. What was this, like 90s, early 2000s, I want to say, around there-ish. But when assembling like machinery or moving parts, like gears, they had like a little picture diagram in the corner here where you had sort of a beam. Like, this is back when they didn't have dedicated beams, when it was brick-based beams. With the studs on top and then the anti-studs on bottom. But anyway, they had like a little picture showing the end of the beam where you had 2 gears. and you had two pictures. One picture where they were pushed together and the beam was like sort of like an hourglass where it was like squished and lots of friction, sparks everywhere, and a big red X being like, nope, don't do it that way. And then an alternate picture where everything was separated out and there was clear gaps around everything and everything was happy, hunky-dory, and there was a big like circle or check mark or something being like, yeah, do it like that. It was a very cute little cartoon pictogram of like, don't squeeze the parts too tightly for friction's sake. I don't know why they got rid of them, but yeah, whatever. Right. Okay, so yeah, so this one has no friction nubs on the pin end, which makes it a free spinning element. So, okay, so we put a 12-tooth gear onto there, and then we add one of these axle joiners, and then the whole thing attaches onto the bottom of this. That axle slides down a bit, and then that attaches like so, and now we have a long vertical section of axle there. Yeah. Ah, man. I've been biding my time. I've been waiting, absolutely just waiting for LEGO to do something like this. I wanted something with lots of gears and lots of compound gears and just, this makes me smile, which, yeah, like, okay, something I'm a little bit annoyed about, I'll just say this. I'm a little bit sad about some of LEGO's more recent sets, like, a lot of their big sets. Like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite sets was that blue crawler crane, which has that big gearbox on the back transmission to operate all the functionalities, and that was so cool. Nowadays, they've made another crawler crane, but it's all remote control. You control it with an app. And the thing is, you got two like battery box hubs with electrical wires that go to more or less direct drive motors. Like the winches are, I believe, direct drive, and then the tracks have like a simple set of reduction gears, and that's it. No transmission, no switching, like every function has its own dedicated motor, which, I mean, I guess it's fine for playability and functionality, but I don't know. Gearheads like me, I kind of miss the days when you had one motor, one singular motor that drove everything, and you were able to control that through complex and interconnected gearboxes and transmissions and other different functionalities, and just lots and lots of really clever engineering. Absolutely love that stuff. Anyway, right, so now we add the turntable, which will be the center anchor point for the swinging arm. So on the bottom side, we need to add some of these blue pins. Now, this is one of the times where orientation does matter, because they show in the picture the way the pins go. Not super well, but they need to slide in. So you have to make sure that the stopping nub, the flange, is towards the outside. Very, very important. Actually, I do remember, fun little side story. I do remember, when I was a kid, like, I used to go to my cousin's house, and we have, like, play dates together, real fun times. But he also had a bunch of, like, LEGO sets on his shelves in his rooms. He was a bit older than me, and one of the sets he had on his shelf was this big motorcycle. Well, okay, medium-sized motorcycle, but it had lots of gears and machines. Like, the chain drove a bunch of gears to make the pistons go up and down, supposedly. The problem was, they accidentally, do I still have any of them? I think I used them all up. Right. This blue piece down here, which has the Technic axle hole on one end and then the pinhole 90 degrees on the other end, there was one of those parts that held the crankshaft in place into the engine. The problem is, and bear in mind, we were both relatively young at the time, and he was much younger when he built it. I don't know how long he had it at that point, but yeah. He accidentally put it in backwards. Like, the axle hole piece was meant to attach rigidly to the frame, and then the round hole, imagine this axle being the crank axle, and then the pistons would go up here and here. Like, that was supposed to spin freely, while this element was rigidly attached. He accidentally put it in backwards, and so, like, the whole axle could flop about, but it couldn't rotate, and it's like, aw. So one day when he wasn't around, or like when he was busy, I took the model into the kitchen and slowly started carefully disassembling it without telling him. And then I tried to flip the piece around, put everything back together. I was caught, I was scolded at, but I managed to fix it in the end, and I was rather pleased by myself. And I did not even have the instructions. The instructions were long lost at that point. But yeah, I fixed his motorcycle, so yay. Even though they did get mad at me, and rightfully so, but yeah. Anyway, fun side story. Fun little anecdote. But, right. And now we attach the turntable. Like so. Okay, that's a thing of beauty. One other nitpick I have about the LEGO system as in general is the lack of hollow axles. Like, something which is really cool, and a really cool, like, mechanism are hollow axles. Also referred to as, like, barrel shafts or cannon shafts. Like, you find them all the time in Clockwork, where you have, like, the second hand, the mid hand, and then the hour hand below. And all three hands, sometimes it's only two, but all three hands share a central pivot point. And the way, really clever mechanism. I remember as a tiny kid being like, how do they work? Why don't they bind up, or the hand sweeps and hits its own axle or whatnot? And so, such a clever mechanism is that you have a hollow axle with another one going through the center. And then, yeah, so your minute hand would be on the top axle, and then your hour hand would be on the lower, fatter one. And yeah, just such a clever little arrangement of axles and gears. And I definitely remember wanting to build clocks out of Lego as a kid, but lamenting the fact that there were no good parts to do such a thing. There were no hollow axles. So turntables are a decent enough workaround. Like, you can, like, drive things with a turntable, and then here, of course, you have the spinning axle in the middle. So yeah, and that's another issue when building something like an orrery, where same issue, you have spinning objects that are concentrically mounted. And so yeah, you need a way of being able to drive these things without axles and swinging arms colliding. Right, I need to add one of these beams. If I can. So yeah, I'll just say this. While the turntables are a nice addition, and don't get me wrong, like I said, I love the turntables. Both the big one and even the small one, which I believe will show up later in this set. Well, I do think the turntables are a decent solution. Part of me does lament that we don't have a proper, like, dedicated component for such a job. Okay, exactly where does... Okay. So this beam element attaches... yeah, attaches like so. There we go. Right in the center there. And so now we have this main center driving axle and a turntable. So the turntable will control the year cycle. Whereas this, I presume, this will drive a lot of the mechanisms out on the arm. as well as, I presume, goes to the gear reduction to drive the sun, which, yeah, that's the other interesting thing is, how do you figure out what the timing for the sun is? Because the sun is a ball of gas, it's a liquid. Unlike Earth, where you can count the continents as they rise and fall, the sun, it's a big ball of fire. Plasma. Whatever. One, how do you even know where a point is? Like, okay, I guess you got sunspots and things that are relatively stationary on its surface. But then you have the other issue of, well, some parts of the sun move faster than others. You have shearing motion, and it's like, okay, so how do you determine what one day on the sun is? Well, the correct answer is, it's infinite. Every single hour is a day. But yeah, so yeah, that's an interesting question you have to ask if you're trying to build an orrery where the sun has a day-night cycle or an orbital motion. Oh yes, the toy. Right, I have to bring this back in. Ah, okay. And so now this 12-tooth, very bad contrast. Right, yes, this 12-tooth gear down here will now mesh with this 36-tooth down here, giving a 3-to-1. And perfect, like so. Like a glove. Oh, that is beautiful. That is... You can't really see it, though. It's all black. It's black on black. And I can't even use a shiny light trick, because, well... Hey, there it is. Yeah, so... Yeah, so you can see the gear spinning up in there. And then that also drives where the crank will go. And also driving this pin up here. As well as driving the little yellow gear, or yellow axle, but at reduced speed. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes. Okay, so this needs to be secured in place by these pins. 1. Stay over you. 2. Come on. Come on, in you go. Yeah. There we go. 2. 3. And... 4. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah. And now as I turn this gear, it drives the whole set of gears in there. Which, yeah, ultimately drives that top axle. Yeah, I got the big ol' smile. This is... I'm in hog heaven. Right, moving along. What's next? Oh, okay. Right, so this little blue T element down here actually needs to slide forwards and lock in. Okay. Okay, so, yeah, let's see if I can get that on camera. So, yeah, this little blue element down here slid forwards. It had a 3-long pin hiding in it, and that just attaches to... apologies for the lighting, but yeah, I can just sort of barely see it. Oh no, it's not connected all the way. hang on. I need to... There we go. Now it's connected. Yeah, now you can see the pin sticking through. There we go. And even the input gear. Hey, nice. Rather pleased. Rather pleased indeed. Alright, moving on. Right, continuing making the crank. So we need a 3-long, and then another axle joiner. Oh, I need to... There we go. 3-long and axle joiner, and then that just simply attaches in like so. I have no doubt someone will motorize this sooner rather than later. Like, this feels like a model that would be relatively easy to motorize. Like, there's a lot of empty space out here. Just slap a motor on, have a drive belt or a set of gears or something. Like, to make it pretty, that's gonna take work. But there's a lot of clever and very artistic designers out there, Lego fans out there. So I have no doubt someone will make it look beautiful. But even a dumb, ugly solution looks like it's not going to be too difficult for some clever bloke to engineer. Just a motor, some pieces, and a battery, and away you go. Right. Now I'll need another 3-long. That just slots in the top like this. Really making this input crank axle super well supported. Like, it's got support back there and up here. Yeah, it ain't going nowhere. Which, yeah, that's another interesting thing. So, speaking of orreries, I want to briefly talk about the Antikythera mechanism, which, really cool machine. Absolutely love it. I do take offense, or not offense, but I do take issue with people calling it a computer. Like, it's definitely not a computer in the traditional sense. Like, it's not a Turing complete machine by any stretch of the imagination. It's much more akin to, well, an orrery. On the front side of it, assuming from what research I've done and, you know, what people have discovered about it and all that, like, the front half is supposed to have a bunch of orbiting planets, or pointers, a bunch of pointers representing Earth, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. I forget if it had Mercury yet or not, but all the big, like, major planets that were known to astronomers at the time. And really cool is the fact that it was, like, geocentric. So the motion of the planets would appear to move one way and then stop and then reverse again and continue to move. So they did sort of a zigzag pattern in the night sky, which is only true if you observe the planets from a planet. If you do a heliocentric model, which most modern orreries are, they don't do that. Continuous motion, continuously around. So, really cool little design there. But one interesting criticism, I'll say, about the mechanism is that it had a lot, and I mean a lot, of cantilevered axles. By that I mean, normally you have an axle attached at one end, then you have some gears in the middle, and you have another attachment point at the other end, meaning that the axle is supported at both ends. With the Antikythera mechanism, attachment point at one end, and then a stack of gears, and that's it. And you're just focusing on, like, just a tolerance of that single attachment point, and then maybe the first gear rubbing against a plate. That is all you get in terms of the structure of the axle. Like, it is, by modern day standards, a pretty bad design, but at the same time, by not having those extra supports, it does make the machine a lot smaller and a lot more compact. So it's a trade-off. It really is an interesting, fascinating little trade-off of, like, losing a lot of structural elements to make it smaller, but at the risk of it being more finicky and more susceptible to friction and friction buildup over time. So yeah, very fascinating. But yeah, good rule of thumb for modern machines is to have axles supported at least 2 points, and those 2 points should be at least half the length of the axle apart. So if the axle is 10 units long, make sure the two bearing elements, the two support elements, are at least 5 units apart, give or take. They can be further out, but if you make them any shorter, you can run into issues with, and it depends. It also depends on the thickness of the axle and how much load you're applying to it, and what the purpose and the form that load is. Like, if it's a balanced load where you're applying force, simple torque that is balanced on all sides, you know, cantilevered axles can be fine with that. But if it's an unbalanced load, like it's a set of gears and one gear's just floating, and like the axle will try to climb. Engineering, there's a reason why you go to high school. There's a reason why there's colleges about it. It's a complicated topic, but one that I absolutely adore. Right. And now we're making the crank. And we're using these pin-to-pin connectors in pearl gold. Okay. I know, it's just plastic, but man, I love pearl gold. It's such pretty color, such a pretty element. I like the pearl plastics LEGO produces. Like, you have the pearl gold. I love the gunmetal gray, which occasionally you find in, you find in various sets. I know like the Bionicles had a lot of gunmetal gray set or parts in that. I forget. I feel like there's a few other sets where you get a lot of gunmetal gray, but I don't remember offhand. But I'll say this, one color which LEGO did in fact produce for a time, but sadly doesn't do anymore. I would love, this is my #1 color if they ever bring it back, is pearl copper. Let's see if I think I have one on my desk actually. Give me one second. Here you are. Right. Here is a admittedly really dumb looking what do they call them? Lego Exoforce, that's it. Lego Exoforce robot, which I gave legs for arms for some reason. Don't ask. I was being silly. I was bored and had the pieces lying around, but yeah, so sadly I don't have the arms for this particular robot. I do have arms in my bin of parts, but whatever. I love the Exoforce robots. I think they're so cool. Exoforce was such a cool, like everyone loves Lego miners, and don't get me wrong, power miners, I love them too, but of like the mid-2000s sets of the Exoforce, like I had the big rolling tank, like mobile base for the bad guys. That was like one of the cool sets I had. But anyway, yeah, so they produce parts in this color, which is sort of a pearl copper color, which is sort of like a pearl brown, which, yeah, like a reddish brown. And I don't know why they don't make these parts anymore. It was a very short run in the mid-2000s that they had parts made in this sort of copper color. But yeah, like I know for a fact that if they came out with more parts in that color, the steampunk community, the Lego steampunk community, would absolutely go wild. Absolutely love that. Anyway, time to add a crank to this thing. Okay, right. And voila! And now it turns. And yeah, you can see the top axle rotates. And then very slowly, you can see, yeah, that's cool. I love seeing the gears through the other gears. That's just beautiful. Ah, yes. Nothing like watching gears go round. It's a thing of beauty. Ah, they even show, make sure everything functions. Oh, okay. And then finally, we add a 20-tooth gear onto here like so. Voila. And now everything is interconnected. Okay, that's nice. Something I appreciate is turning the crank clockwise relative to the viewing angle. So turning it clockwise makes a turntable, and then all of these elements rotate counterclockwise again from a top-down perspective. Which, yeah, so it means that forwards in time, like from the North Pole looking down, all of the planets and moons and whatnot orbit counterclockwise relative to looking from the North Pole down. So everything orbits counterclockwise. And so I appreciate that to advance time forwards, you turn it clockwise, which feels natural. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, if I turn a crank, the default direction I will turn it, or try to turn it, is clockwise. Occasionally machines turn counterclockwise, but more often than not, I feel like clockwise is the correct default direction to turn a crank. And I appreciate that LEGO adheres to this rule of thumb right here. Alright. Now that all the gears are in place, I could in theory do the calculations and figure out what the gear ratios are for everything. But I'll do that in post. Right. Unfortunately, there's no more gears left, but there's still a couple pieces, so we're gonna make something pretty, adding more detail, or just like paneling and all that. Right. So, time to build with brick. Right. Adding more of these. I'm not even. Oops. I'm not even sure what you would call them. I'm calling them crescents, even though only the back half of them is curved. For a true crescent, the front half should be curved, but I don't know, maybe there's a crescent with infinite radius. Ever thought of that? I'm just saying that because I want to be right. And it's not because I'm just making it up on the fly. Although that is true. I mean, both could be true. I could just be making up on the fly and still be technically correct. The two options are not mutually exclusive. Ooh. Okay, these are neat. They're like sort of rounded tile, but they have the studs on the top. That's cool. I like these. Make for really good carpet boats where you put these on the bottom of a boat and you can just slide them around on the carpet and make the living room your ocean. Very fun. Right. So built that whole section up. Well, I mean, now it does kind of have a curvature, sorta. Right. And then we add a bunch of pins and axles. I presume I'm gonna have to make 2 of these? Yep. Down there, it says 2 of them. Okay, fair enough. It's by far the least repetitive of the LEGO systems, or LEGO sets I've ever put together. I put together the LEGO Ferris wheel once. Really cool set. Absolutely love that set. I love that. Great mechanism, by the way. I love that the giant wheel itself is driven by friction tires rubbing along the outside edge of it. Like, okay. As you might imagine, I don't think this will come as a surprise to many people, but oftentimes when I go to like the fun fair or carnivals, I don't go on the rides. I go up to the rides and watch the clockwork of them work. Like, I watch how they function. that's the type of guy I am. Like, so, yeah. And so I've definitely observed and seen how the different carnival rides work. And also, the traveling carnival rides, like, not only do they have to function, but they also have to fold up and compact into the size of a semi-trailer and drive along roads. And so, yeah, really clever engineering. They have to be strong enough to withstand the forces and G's of the amusement, but also have pivot points and enough joints that it can basically flat pack into the size of a semi-truck. And yeah, no, that, again, hats off to the engineers who have to come up with that. That is so bloody clever. So much engineering behind that. And, but yeah, so most of the time, Ferris wheels, at least the portable ones, are driven by little friction, like, basically trailer tires rubbing against the outside rim of the wheel itself. And I love that LEGO copied that idea and, you know, had that as the mechanism, as opposed to having it being axle driven at the center hub of the wheel. So, yeah, absolutely love that. Also, I love that the LEGO set has platforms that raise up. Like, when the wheel aligns, you can stop it and then raise up the platform to let people on and off. That's a little detail that they absolutely did not have to have, but whoever designed it like that, props to you, man. Absolutely bloody clever, really cool. Right. So that's another one of these crescents built. And then I need to put on these. But yeah, yeah. Like I was saying, Ferris wheel, really cool set. But yeah, admittedly it is a little bit repetitive at times. Like, you're building all of these spokes to make a wheel, and then you have to build the rim of the wheel itself, which has like 2 distinct types of segments. Clever how they managed to make a circle out of brick, which is infamous for being square, but yeah, a little bit on the repetitive side, but hey, it was worth it for such a cool set. And I still have it. It's in my room. I occasionally turn it on and watch it turn. I have it motorized as well, which all right. Oh, I realize I forgot a step. Oh well, whatever. I can just add it now. So these, right? I have to put together these little sub-assemblies, and then attach them on like so, and just simply repeat the same on the other side. I will say, one nice thing about having the book in frame is the book itself acts sort of as my border. Like, yes, I know you can't see the entire page of the book, I'm sorry. I apologize if that's annoying some of you, but it's like, I want the focus to be on the physical thing I'm building, not just the static piece of paper in front of me. But I guess this is also acting as a decent enough backdrop. Right. And with this, I'm basically done with this bag. Not much more, only like 2 spare parts, which I don't even remember. Why do I have one of these? I don't remember putting... Oh, right. It was right in, well, focus is going to be a pain, but yeah. Right in there, we had a yellow one. Just a single one. But we get 1 spare because, you know, LEGO's generous that way. Right. I say LEGO's generous with a slight bit of sarcasm. But, you know, it's better to get 1 than 0 spares at least. Right, okay, so according to the book, this element snaps in to this ring section like so. I'm wondering, are these rings new? I don't recognize them, but like I said, it's been a while since I've built Technic, so I think that orange is definitely new. But yeah, I'm wondering if these rings are just a new element in general. They're neat. They look nice. I can imagine them being useful as like big wheels. I never had one myself, but I do remember back in the day, LEGO did sort of Attack of the Clones, sort of War of, what was the planet? Geonosis. War of Geonosis. And there was a lot of really cool vehicles and machines in that fight. But one in particular, which I think is really cool, is you had sort of a body in the center and then two massive wheels on either side that were sort of slanted out. And then a whole set of missile racks on the top. And those big wheels, like a LEGO made like a custom like big wheel element with gear teeth along the inside. Like, okay, that's a cool ring gear that didn't really appear in any other LEGO sets. Okay, same thing goes on this side. This other piece goes here. Again, just sort of for decoration. Come on, in you go. Like so. Alright, okay, so these guys have to face outwards. And then the ring itself goes on. Alright, so then comes the tricky part of putting the month stickers on. In fact, I'm gonna look ahead. Do we do the month stickers right now or later? Okay, so we do them in this step. Okay. A few pages dedicated to the months, but I guess that makes sense. Right. So apparently you have to pull these out slightly. And something I didn't realize is you also had to add this blue pin onto the ring. Right, sorry. There we go. Right, so where does a blue pin actually go? Ah. Okay, so I need to reorientate that. So the blue pin goes towards the back here. Come on. There we go. I get it. Okay. These little markers are probably there to help builders line the stickers up, because yeah, there's not really any visual reference on the ring itself as to where the stickers should go. I mean, there is a little bit, but it's not obvious, especially not on the outside. Why is that one not going in? Alright. There we go. There we go. And everything fits in like so. Pretty nice base built up so far. Yeah, fairly happy with it. And then you turn the crank and the gears go around. Yeah, that is beautiful. I love it. Oh, that is lovely, lovely jubbly. Lovely stuff right there. Right, now Sticker time! Alright, right. Time to embarrass myself with my sticker placement. Hopefully I won't. Hopefully I'm good at this, but... I mean, I'm okay at stickers, but I'm not perfect. I'm not the greatest stickerer ever. Enough. Only one spare piece, this entire bag. Only this one piece. Oh, add it to the collection. Alright. That's all the way. Alright, and so we have these little markers on the outside. Like so, so, and so. Alright, so let's not get this wrong. Okay, so starting with this orientation. So from the crank handle, so January starts there. So January and February. Alright, so let's see if I can get this on camera. Yeah, right. I apologize if... Yeah, I apologize. I need to see what the hell I'm doing first and foremost. More than I need the camera to see. And that's a little bit crooked, but once on, it's hidden. Okay. Not perfect, but yeah. I'll give credit. Good color matching. Like, the orange blends into the orange really well. Like, yeah, virtually invisible where the edge of the sticker is. So, yeah, credit to LEGO. It's my poor sticker placement. Not really an issue. Alright, so after February comes March. Also, as a quick aside, so they use like the standard 3-letter. Oh no. Oh, interesting. They vary. Sometimes it's the entire word, July, but then sometimes it's abbreviated, like OCT for October, 4 letters for September, 3 letters for November, but obviously May is full. June, they do the full name. Interesting. Sometimes you'll see, like, all months abbreviated into a 3-letter abbreviation, which is fine, that works. But I'll admit, there have been times where I've had to abbreviate a month to 2 letters, and that works for the most part. Like, most months can be abbreviated, but there's 3 months that sort of compete with each other, and that is January, July, and June. The 3 J months. Like, you can abbreviate Jan as JA. That's fine. But then June and July, do you do the July as JL? I guess, but and then June as JU, like, that works, but if you do JU as, like, if you do JU, it's ambiguous if JU means July or June. If you do JN for June, well, then it could be JN for Jan, because JAN. So JAN would become Jan, or JN becomes... So yeah, it's slightly ambiguous whether you're saying January, June, or July, depending on the type of abbreviation. You could, I guess, do JE, but the E's silent, so no one would have any clue what you're talking about if you do JE. Although, that is one possible solution, so... Right, moving along, so let's continue to add these stickers, shall we? So, February, March, April. just for those keeping track at home. Oh, this is going to be tricky. Doing it up on the edge. Okay, yeah, this is tricky, but okay, I think, yeah, perfect. I think the camera even got that is on film as well. Sweet. That looks great. No bubbles. No sticker overhanging the edge or even getting close. That is really well done. Yes, I'm gonna toot my own horn. I'm proud of that. I'm happy. Okay, so right after April, then we got May, June, July, August. So May, June. I will refrain from doing any corny puns at this point in time. Let's see. Okay, I'm in frame. Nope. I don't like that. I don't like that. Off you come. There we go. If you make a mistake early and you catch it, you can remove the stickers, but you have to catch it early. There we go. Yeah, that sits flush now. Bit of a bubble. There we go. Got it down. There we go. Yeah. You can just barely make the outline of the sticker, which is good. It means that any imperfections are hidden. Also means that if I want to brag about my sticker placement, it's also harder to see. Meh. Oh well. Anyway, so June, then we need July and August. Gregorian calendar is weird, but we all love it. Well, most of us do. Right. Okay. Yeah, it seems a bit... There we go. Perfect. Like so. Like I said, I like stickers. I think they're fun. They are a fun challenge. And that was not perfect. It you really cannot see, but it gets kind of low towards the bottom, like under July. July gets real close to the edge, but thankfully Lego has a bit of margin between the edge of the sticker and the edge of the brick, which thank God. Thank God they have a tiny bit of margin there. Right, so August, next is September, and then October. Right. Next sticker, September and October. This goes on like here. Yep, okay, on frame. I'll have to do. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, I say perfect. It's slightly too high. October is definitely a little bit too high, but again, the margins allow for tiny mistakes like that and you can get away with it. Like I said, I'm not the greatest sticker applier ever. I'm not a perfect robot, but at least I get them onto the plastic. as a kid, I definitely remember being really bad at stickers as a kid and always missing the plastic and always either that or having awful air bubbles trapped inside the stickers or having the stickers wrinkle up on me. Nightmare. And then the last sticker, November and December. Good old Christmas. That, I believe, is like that. And then just on, like so. And voila. And there we go. That is lovely. Lovely stuff. Yes, tiny little details like that that make this set feel complete. That they put in a calendar ring around the outside to show the months of the year. Again, I'm really genuinely curious how accurate the timing is. Like if they bothered to make it close or not. I hope they did, but we'll see. But yeah, and so that is the end of this book. The next step, we build a sun. Well, get your hydrogen out. But we'll save that for next time. Oh. There we go. Alright, right, we made pretty good progress on the project today. And, like I said, the sticker sheet can go back as well. Yeah, I'm loving this so far. Absolutely loving this. It is a shame that a lot of the gears are kind of hidden. I wish the gears were a bit more obvious. You could see them a bit better, but yeah, still, so far, so good. And yeah, just watching them turn is very satisfying. Very much love it. Anyway, I think I'll wrap things up for now. So, yeah. I have been the Headed Hamster. You have a good one. Take care, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.